Hey there guys, it's Sean Johnny, your trusted realtor, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at some of the most asked questions that come up in real estate. But first, if you'd like to be one of the first people to know about real estate news, see great home tours, buying and selling tips, neighborhood videos, and all the other great things we provide here on the channel, then please subscribe. Remember, I'm working with people like you every day, and whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 9 years, let's start a relationship now, and when the time is right, hopefully I can be there to assist you. Now let's get started answering some of the most asked questions in real estate. So what has caused the dramatic increase in prices in housing in the last little while? And so there's a few factors that have combined to make it a really high-end market or a pricey market. One is when the interest rates dropped, money became very cheap and a lot of people could afford to mortgage a greater amount. So when money was 1%, a lot of people could suddenly get a mortgage for $800,000 instead of $500,000, and so it gave them greater buying power. And then the other thing that sort of fueled it is a lack of inventory. So at the time when everybody had this cheap money to borrow, it was hard to find houses. So now, whether I can afford an $800,000 mortgage or not, I'm willing to pay it because I'm competing for every house. So back when the money was cheap, every sale was in multiple offers. So because of lack of inventory, we saw a lot of people paying exorbitant amounts because they could get the money from the bank for that amount, right? And then why is there a lack of inventory? Because of the amount of immigration that we've had. So we've got so many people coming into the country. We're not building houses fast enough to house them all. So there's a lack of inventory or a lack of people to stay or a lack of a place for people to stay. And so then we start having bidding wars on homes and everybody's willing to pay for as much as they can afford. And back in that time when money was cheap, people paid everything they could afford. Now, unfortunately, as the rates have changed, that's put a few people in the lurch who maybe paid more than they should have back in that time. Another multiple offer question. Can the listing agent share the details of the other offers with the buying agents? Now, in the old days, before 2024, there was no way that the listing agent was able to share what the other offers had in them to any of the buying agents. So they were all blind bids, all 3 agents or 4 agents, whoever had their offers in. They didn't know what the other people had offered, and it was legal, unethical for the selling agent to share with any one of them if it was his friend or his brother and tell them what they needed to get to. Now in 2024, they changed that a little bit and they said if the seller wants, it's up to the seller, it's not up to the agent, it's up to the seller. If the seller wants, he can allow his agent to share the details of the other offers with the buying agents, with all the buying agents. So you can't only share it with one. So if the seller wants, I can go to all the buying agents and say, oh, you're at $1 million, you're at $1.5 million, you're at $1.1 million. Everybody knows where they're at. So now go back and do a better offer, right? Now, to be quite honest with you, it's not in the seller's best interest to normally share those things. It works out better for the seller if it's a blind bid, but there are a few circumstances where it might be beneficial to the seller to do that. And so OREA has changed it that they can now give their agent the go-ahead to share details if they so desire. How do you know how much your home is worth? So look, we had said earlier about a CMA or competitive market analysis. If the real estate agent comes through and he can show you other homes similar to yours that sold for a certain price in a relatively same market, and then what you have to do is you have to sort out updates, ups and differences in the house. So did you put a new roof on? Did you put a new furnace? Because these will give your house slightly more value than the other one that sold down the road. Never really know what your house is worth until you put it on the market and see what will pay you. But the most realistic way to figure out how much your house is worth is to look at what's sold in the area, and then from there add and subtract the differences of what updates were done, what aesthetic updates were done, and then if the market's changed. So a lot of times I'll go and say, okay, well, this one down the road sold for 1.5, but I can show you that the market in the GTA in the last 4 months has gone up 5%, so we should be able to get an extra 5% on them. Or conversely, the market's gone down 5%, so even though your neighbor sold for 1.5 million, you can't expect that anymore because the market is sank. right? And then, you know, give you an idea, but until you actually put it on the market and have people walk through and see who will pay you what, you're never really going to know. So how much does the deposit have to be when you're making your offer? And gold standard, what we're normally looking for, is between 3 and 5% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a home for $1 million, somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 is a suitable and realistic deposit amount. Now, if you're in multiple offers, you know, anything that you can improve in the offer is going to look better to the seller. So obviously, if you can put down $100,000 instead of $50,000, it shows greater seriousness, and it also kind of ties you a little tighter to the deal. Budget 3 to 5% of the price, and again, the more deposit there is, the more security the seller feels, because that ties you to the deal. The less deposit there is, the easier it is for you to walk away. So again, 3 to 5% is sort of the standard. Above 5% would bring greater comfort to the seller, and below 3% kind of makes them feel a little iffy, because if it's $1 million home and I only gave them $10,000 deposit, it makes it a little easier for me to walk away from the deal 3 months down the road if the market's changed or anything's happened. I want to thank you for joining me today on the station to answer some of the most asked questions in real estate. If you learned anything today, if you enjoyed the video, I'd love for you to share it around, hit the like button. Again, if you could subscribe, you know I would do all of those things for you. Okay? So until our next video, stay well, and if you have any questions or you'd like to get in touch, all my details are listed in the comments below.